If there's one thing I hate, it's all those videos that start off with someone going, I've had so many people ask me this question, when you know that absolutely no one has asked them that. It's just bullshit. Anyway, so I've had a lot of people write into me and say that they want me to show them how to start an A320. I did a video on how to start a Cessna 152 that you guys seem to enjoy. So I thought I would make one on the Airbus A320, the other end of the pool. So as you can see, everything is cold and dark. Let's just get rid of the little camera thing. It's currently nighttime here in Sydney. So as you can see, no lights are on, no one is home. And we are going to take this plane from cold and dark, which is what this state is, to running. Now, when I did the video on the 152, I went through and I explained the differences between the plane and the car, that fundamentally they still have the three same elements, fuel, air and spark, but you had to go about it slightly different. And this builds on top of that. So you may remember with the 152, if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. Basically, we had to turn on all the modules. So it was very modular in that you had to turn on the batteries, you had to turn on the fuel pumps, then you had to crank it over, which is what we're going to have to do here. However, because this plane is so big, there are a couple of extra steps. So what we're going to do is if we go to our camera tab and we go instruments, okay, managed to get it by fluke. So instrument 8, with a jet, you're always going to land where you have ground services. So there's going to be external power available, and that's the first step. So what we're going to do is, you can see here, oh, actually what we'll do is we'll go through here, go through the panel, sorry, if I can speak. Let me get rid of my face. So you can see that the panel is outlined by category. So you may remember in the Cessna 152, we kind of went left to right. All the fuel was in one section, or the electricity was in another, so on and so forth. And this isn't too different. So we have our electronic panel here, or electric panel. We have air conditioning, and then you can see we have our fuel. So first thing we want to do is external power. Let's turn him on, and now all of a sudden stuff starts coming to life. You can see our panels are turning on, which is a good start. But of course, unless we've got a really long extension lead, we're not going to be able to fly remaining connected to external power. So what we need to do is have a look for our batteries, which are here. So we can turn these guys on. And now what we need to do is we need to fire up what's called the APU, which is an assisted power unit. Think of it as a really little engine that we turn on that helps run the rest of the plane. So with the Cessna 152, or with a car, for example, you're used to the idea of an alternator. You can kind of think of it as an alternator if you wanted to. Okay, so essentially the stage that we're at now is we need to start this little APU engine. So where that's located, don't worry, we don't have to get out of the plane to do this. You notice this little engine, oh God, sorry for the shitty camera work. This little engine here, kind of like a plane's butthole, I guess. That's the APU. So you're used to seeing the two jets. That little fella, if you've ever wondered what that is, there you go, you're welcome. So what we're going to do is get the APU started. And if you have a look down here, we have a little master switch, APU. So this is what we need to now turn on. So if we click on this little guy and we go out, if I turn on my headphones, you guys should be able to hear that starting to whir to life. And actually, now in the cabin, you can sort of hear the air conditioning, you can hear stuff happening. And now that the APU master switch is on, if we put our mouse over start, we can turn this guy on. Let's go back out. And now you can hear it starting to kick to life. Fantastic. Now what we also do need to do is allow the APU to bleed air. So we'll go up here and allow that to occur. And you can sort of hear, once again, it's starting to really spool to life. Now, at this point, consider this our alternator. This is now where we're going to get power from. So we can unplug our external power. So let's turn him off. But it'll still say available. But at the moment, our engines still aren't running. So if I can not do horrible camera work, you can see these fins. So the engines themselves, they haven't started yet, but we now have our own power. We're operating under our own steam. So we could very well, if you wanted to, we could start throwing on a few lights, which, why don't we do that? Everyone likes a little bit of light, bit of disco. It's a Saturday night after all. Throw our beacons on, let's throw our wings on, let's throw our logos on. Look at that, starting to light up the world. We've got our strobe going, our Neo lights on. Fantastic. Now it's going to be time to actually turn the engines themselves on. We need to allow fuel, first. So going back to our fuel panel, you can see here at the moment, everything is listed as off, all these pumps. So we need to flick all of them on. So just go across. I'm sure there's a proper order to do that in, but let's just flick them all on, who cares? Okay, so that's that panel taken care of. What we want to do now is go to our engine panel. Where are you? Here we go. So this is what's between the two pilots. So down here, we have our little engine section, and this is what we're going to do next. So what we want to do is engine mode. We want to flick that over to ignition, so kind of like turning a key in your car. Now, for reasons I don't understand, and feel free to let me know in the comments, they start engine 2 first. So once again, let's go back around. Nothing's moving. But once I flick this fella, now in game, it just spins really fast straight away. In real life, it would slowly start to turn. I mean, it's not like they, only weigh a kilogram and they just flick around. So what we can now do is if we have a look at the LCD panel, which is in the middle of our dashboard, you'll start to see all these numbers creep up. So an important thing to look at, N1, our exhaust gas temperature, you'll see this is now starting to climb. Our N2, I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, I'm sorry. And if we have a look down, you'll see our oil pressure is slowly starting to creep up. Our engine temperature is creeping up. And what we want is essentially for the second engine to be stable. So we want to wait for all these numbers to equalize, settle down, and just stay flat. They shouldn't fluctuate up and down. Once that's done, we can kick over our first engine. It's going to take probably a minute or two. And I think at this point as well, you'd get a lot of planes that would now push back and that kind of stuff. I think that actually might happen once the APU's on, I can't remember. And this noise, which I really hope you can hear, otherwise I'm just pointing my finger at the roof. If you've ever been on a jet plane and you've wondered what the hell that noise is, that usually happens as you're being pushed back. And I never knew what it was. I always just thought it was something weird. That's actually a hydraulics test sound. So it's all the systems priming themselves and testing that all the hydraulics are fine. So, the more you know. And by the look of it, N1 is now stable at 19.6. Exhaust gas at 437. Everything is all stable, so nothing's moving around. So once again, our first engine still isn't started, but we're going to fix that up right now. Flick. Bang. There's the first engine up and running. And if we come back up to our dashboard, you can now see that these numbers are slowly going to start climbing. And in a minute or so, they're going to match engine 2. And now you'll notice that basically all these numbers are the exact same, 19.6, 437, all the way down, and temperature's 1 degree off, but I guess it's just a little bit cooler on that side of the plane. And once you've got the engine started, we need to turn off the APU because we don't need to use that anymore. The power from the engines will be enough to keep the plane running. So what we need to do is turn off the APU bleed, turn off our master switch, and also if we head back to the engine, because everything is up and running, wrong button, we can now set our engine mode selector. That can come back to normal. And really your job's done. So you've done all the heavy lifting, and I'd say it's really up to your co-pilot to get the plane out on the runway, get her up in the air. And really all that's left for you to do is have a lovely cup of tea. So hopefully you guys found that video interesting. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes, and I will see you guys in the next video.